And welcome back to the Parramatta Stadium as we see the Parramatta Eels coming onto the field, set for the match this afternoon. As we said, they're down the line a little bit so far as Winfield Cup points are concerned, but we did see quite a good performance from them against Penrith just last week.
Certainly did, Bill, and with the crowd backing them this afternoon, I'm sure they're going to put in another good one. They've had a very disappointing season with only 3 matches to go now in 88 for the Eels. I've got no doubt they'll be out to redeem themselves, and if they play anywhere near as good as what they did against Penrith last weekend, they'll certainly stretch the depleted Broncos today.
All right, talking about the Broncos, we've been through the team, of course, with the changes that they have for this match this afternoon. There's Jackson just limbering up. He's played pretty well, particularly against Penrith the other week. Quite a classy sort of a player.
Well, they've got a good back line there. When you look at Paul Taylor, the half-back, Steve Ella at 5'8", and there's the two of them there. They're just talking about how they're going to go about the match. It was Ella who sparked a lot of the attack last weekend against Penrith. So those two players once again will be heavily involved. And as you say, Bill, Brian Jackson and Ericsson, the big fellow Bugden there. Bugden will play an important role because if we think back to the first round match when Parramatta started so well, they once again, back in the days when the Broncos were very weak up the middle of the ruck, it was the big fellows who made plenty of ground. And I'm sure John Money will still try and search out and just see if there is a little bit of that weakness there, because of course Greg Dowling isn't there today. Brian Niebling couldn't take his place either, and Mark Hone, who'd been playing so well up until his injuries and has found it difficult to fight his way back into the side. He'll be out for another strong match today.
Wally Lewis leads the Broncos out onto the field to the boos of the crowd at Parramatta Stadium. They only have one team that they worry about around here, and that's that Parramatta side, which is fair enough, I guess.
Well, what an important game it is for the Broncos. They cannot afford to lose on their run through to the semi-finals, coming off 4 straight wins. Parramatta showed, as Billy said, against Penrith, they are a side to be reckoned with, despite their lowly place. There's one of the international players, Alan Langer and Greg Kinescu before, and I'm sure that it's going to be a fabulous battle out there today between Alan Langer and Paul Taylor, who is an outstanding forward. Mark Hone, one of the replacements in the side for the 2 injured prop forwards, Dowling and Brian Niebling, and he'll play a very important role. He came in that match against Western Suburbs earlier at Arana Park and played superbly.
One of the things that must be pleasing for Wayne Bennett is any time he's called on replacement players in recent weeks, and there's another one of them, Billy Note, just in behind there, the number 8. Any time he's called on those players, they've been some of his best, and none more important than today with so many changes. Colin Scott getting a chance back in the run-on side, Craig Teven, Grant Ricks and Billy Note.
Referee Brian Grant blowing the whistle to start play as Wally Lewis moves back and will start things into action. And I'll check a few conditions with Terry Kennedy. Beautiful weather and not much of a wind about, but that's Taylor to take it right from the kickoff. And they're going to run it out and see what Delroy can do bringing it up. He'll go to ground about 20 metres out from his own line.
Wally Lewis is going to do the kicking for goal today. Billy Note won't be doing the kicking, and if Wally kicks half as well as what he did just on the halfway, then as Jackson makes a break.
Jackson ankle tap though, just as he went over the quarter line, put to the ground up there on the tackle of the lock forward in Billy Note. But it's Parramatta in possession. They're about 30 metres out from their own line. Terry Kennedy's got ground conditions coming up for us, and also chatting with one of the legends of rugby league. They had teams from the 60s and 70s out here that played a curtain raiser today, and he's down there with Ken Thornett. Thanks, Terry.
Of course, Ken Thornett was a great stalwart of the Parramatta club, and one of these great stands here at the stadium is named after you, Ken. Ken, a couple of the players in that 60s and 70s side was doing it fairly tough out there today.
I'll say 20 years makes a fair bit of difference in footballers' physical ability, I think, Terry.
Ken, of course, Parramatta, they haven't had the best of season, but last week they showed plenty of fight against Penrith, and obviously they're out to impress against the Broncos.
Yes, I think they could put a very good game up here because they've got a great psychological advantage. They've got everything to gain, nothing to lose, and the Broncos are in there in the first 5, and they've got to just stick up there, stay there. But Parramatta's got really a relaxed atmosphere, and they'll be doing their best, I think. And I think they're very unlucky against Penrith, so anything could happen.
Ken, you played 12 tests for Australia. Obviously, the game has changed a lot. Do you think it's changed for the better?
Yes, I think so. I think the defence has got a little bit tighter than in our day, and there's probably a little bit more emphasis on the tackling aspect of the game, and that's made it probably a little bit less interesting to watch, in the sense that there's not as much attack as you might like, but still the quality of player is better, and the training is probably a lot more demanding than when I was going around.
Ken, former Parramatta star, and of course 12 tests for Australia. Thanks very much for your time, Ken Thornett.
Okay, Terry Kennedy down there on the touchline. TK, just while Ken's moving away, we're waiting for Elle to have the shot at goal. Any wind about down there?
actually Steve is kicking into quite a strong breeze.
Right now, there's the kick from Ella. 74 points for the season. Make it 76 now as he pilots it through. First spins on the board, and Parramatta go to a lead of 2 points to 0.
Well, that's their second penalty to Parramatta. One for holding down in the tackle a couple of moments ago, and then within a couple of rucks, another penalty coming from being in an offside position. And they've capitalised on those 2 penalties by coming up with 2 points so early in the match.
And some good news too in the reserve grade match today. The Broncos won by 12 points to 10. It was 0-0 at half-time, but they got up very close to the full-time hooter to score a try and convert that and take it out 12-10, although they did bomb quite a few chances.
They sure did, Bill. At half-time, they could have easily been leading by about 20 points. It wasn't to be. And once again, Jackson makes the break.
And he's going to be pulled down in just about the same spot, but they keep it going there, and eventually going to the ground with it will be Ericsson. Just by the way, Parramatta in the reserve grade are second, equal second on the table there. So that was a good performance from the Broncos.
And losing the ball this time, not a stealing the ball incident. Therefore, the Broncos will have loose head and feet here. I think they've had the football yet. Parramatta have had all the ball in the first 3 minutes of the game. First chance now for the Broncos, should they be able to win this scrum. Let's have a look at it on replay again. Heavy tackle, Miles over the top. At that stage, the ball was certainly effectively held. Miles just got his hand on the ball. Grant looking away slightly. Scrum to the Broncos. Colin Scott.
Langer getting it outside there to Scott. The crowd giving a bit of a yell there, saying second row, not a direct feed, but I don't think there's too many go in the centre these days. That's Hone with it now. He'll play it about 30 metres out now from the Parramatta line. Parramatta with a lead of 2 points to 0. That's Billy Noak. Dummy half is Greg Kinescu.
Got his chance in the absence of Madison last week and played particularly well. He'll need to repeat that performance.
That's Andrew Tessman there, getting up to the quarter line. And a very proud man today after seeing his caricature in the Sunday Mail. The boys have not given him a hard time about it at all. Final tackle coming up. Kinescu swings it away to Langer. Langer outside then with the Miles. Miles putting it up high. Plenty of players back there. Let's have a look. It's going to be safely taken. Nice work. Chalmers coming in to get a hold of it.
And significantly taken in the field of play and driven back into the in-goal area. Therefore, Parramatta will be forced into a goal line drop out. A lot of the crowd not agreeing because they don't appreciate the fact that he was actually in the field of play as he took the ball. Good defence from the Broncos to drive him back.
Steve Ella dropping out from underneath the goal mouth. And the ball rolling away from Billy Noak. It's going to find touch.
Bad mistake that from Brisbane. Admittedly an awkward kick, but now a chance for Parramatta, although the Broncos still will have loose head and feed. If Alan Langer puts it around about where he put it last time, it's pretty hard to lose it.
So now across to Lewis. Outside then to Colin Scott. Scotty in the couple of opportunities he's had as of late when Duffy's been out has made the most of it and provided us with some nice football. So going up there with it is Brett LeMan. Here's Tessman. Tessman just inside the quarter line. Kinescu to dummy half. Organising from there. Langer outside to Lewis. Lewis threw his away. He'll score. Made it look oh so simple. Broncos in for the first try of the match, and that's 4 points to 2.
Wally Lewis, the top try scorer for the Broncos. I think that's number 11 now for Lewis. And a beautiful pass from Alan Langer. The Eels didn't know which one to take. That's the beauty of having two classy players playing side by side. They really didn't know which option to take. Lewis operating in his running game, and Alan Langer did it beautifully. Just held the ball up nicely, read it to perfection. Have a look at this. Just waited for the right time, fired the ball out. Beautiful pass. Clinton didn't know where to go. Poorly read by Parramatta. The defence not reading it at all, and Lewis catching them a little bit off guard. Let's have a look at it now from the head on. Watch how Langer holds up the ball, gives Lewis the gap, runs to the gap nicely. Clinton really had blinkers on, not looking at all, not reading the play at all well, and Wally Lewis goes across for his 11th try.
Both of those Parramatta defenders looking at each other as if to say, well, you missed it. Here's Lewis with a shot at goal. How is he? He's okay. Through it goes. Broncos lead here at Parramatta Stadium is 6 points to 2. So we're coming back to restart play from there. And looks so simple, didn't it, that one?
Certainly did. I'm done an injustice to Wally Lewis as well. That's his 13th try for the season, and pretty good effort from Lewis. He's by far and away the Broncos' top try scorer. And when you think fellows like Ferguson have only scored 19, the top try scorer in the Winfield Cup, Lewis has had a top season in point scoring.
Another good crowd out here for this match today. There's no doubt about those Parramatta supporters. They stay as loyal as you'll get them when the team's down there on 12 points. You're quite entitled to expect a bit of a drop-off with following, but it's been there the whole time. And they're very vocal too. So Kanescu to dummy half. He'll swing it away to Mark Hone. Hone up the centre, but is going to be tackled. They wake it away again. This is Tessman. Tessman eventually bowled over in the tackle of Setri. So it'll be a Parramatta ball now. Taylor to Ella. Coming into it is Delroy. Delroy gets the pass back inside to Jackson. He's been a danger so far today, but not for long as Tessman came in. 3 of them there, as a matter of fact, but a big hit by Tessman over the top took away any chance of getting the pass away. This time it's rolling loose, eventually going to be picked up. Cutting up the centre there will be Ericsson. Well, rather, it's the front row there in Clinton. So Taylor to dummy half, over to Bugden. Bugden to the quarter line. Dummy half is Sharp. Sharp working it away. Coming up there is Laurie. Final tackle now for Parramatta. Dummy half Sharp. He'll swing it back to Taylor. Taylor with a little kick through. Kanescu had a chop at it. Now it's towed back into the in-goal area. Lewis is back there to dive on it.
Well, did Taylor knock that ball on? I would have thought he did as he came through. Kanescu certainly did as it rebounded off him. Taylor followed his own kick through. It looked to me like it came off. Lewis on the spot to save the day. Let's have a look at it. Taylor, little kick through. Kanescu tries to grab it. I thought that came off the hand of Taylor. Brian Grant had called play on. The ball was still alive in his opinion. Lewis just back on the spot.
This is Delroy cutting up the centre. Out of a couple of tackles.
Aren't they making some breaks out wide?
Going to be pulled out eventually by Craig Teevan.
Offside a mile. Kanescu was the culprit. And, of course, once you're allowing a side to break you so simply as what Parramatta are out wide, there's plenty of chances to make those breaks. The Broncos aren't making tackles. And, of course, once they're in that... Look at the backward motion there of the defence. Very difficult then to get back on the mark and move up. Kanescu at no stage did that, and therefore another penalty going to Parramatta. It's their third, and the Broncos yet to have a penalty in the match. Ella's already converted one of the penalties into points. The score 6-2 at the moment. Very simple one for Steve Ella, and he should be able to make it 6-4.
Yes, he has the ball placed.
Be a concern, I think, for Wayne Bennett, Bill, the number of breaks that are being made out wide. Both Ericsson and Jackson and Delroy are getting those half breaks, and they're sort of players who, with a little bit of room to move, they can be very dangerous.
Jackson's found plenty of gaps in the early part of this match. Here's Steve Ella, and no doubt about it, through she goes. So the Brisbane Broncos lead Parramatta by 6 points to 4.
So welcome back to the Parramatta Stadium. Only 2 points separating the two sides after 10 minutes of the first half. It's Brisbane in the lead by 6 points to 4, following that second successful attempted penalty goal by Steve Ella. So Wally Lewis to get the game back underway.
Significant there. Billy Gardner, one of the runners for Wayne Bennett, came out and had a couple of words there to Chris Johns, obviously trying to sort out what problems are happening in the defensive pattern out wide.
Well, good solid defence there from Gene Miles and Mark Hone on the wing of Chalmers. Sharp getting the ball away to Taylor, then to Ella. That's the stepping run by Ericsson, goes to ground. Oh, and a solid hit coming in from Tessman. It was Delroy, the fullback, in fact, who was taken in the tackle, and that's bugged into the middle of the quarter line. And that's where his progress has halted. Sharp playing in the hooking role, goes to dummy half to Ford. Ford to Laurie. Lewis going low. Billy Noak over the top. They work the blind side again. That's Clinton. A good solid defence coming in from Gene Miles. Sharp, dummy half for Taylor. There's the kick downfield. It'll go to Grant Ricks's wing, and an awkward bounce for the right wing for Brisbane, but he threw the dummy to Colin Scott and made about 5 or 6 metres before he was taken in the tackle that time of Graham Setri. From dummy half is Mark Hone. Bugden and Setri wrap him up in the tackle. Kanescu going to dummy half, looking for Langer on open side. Through the dummy, nowhere to go there. Put Lewis in the gap. Taken high, ball and all by Sharp. And Langer and Clinton get untwined back about 10 metres. Clinton, a very solid tackle on Alan Langer. So it's Kanescu again, a dummy half. Looking for Lewis. He'll turn the Parramatta defence around with a long kick straight down the middle of the ground. It'll roll into the in goal. Will it go dead? It does. It rolls dead in goal. So play will come back to the quarter line. With 12 minutes of play gone in this first half, it's the Broncos in the lead by 6 points to 4.
Bad kick from Wally Lewis, just looking for territory there, trying to put Parramatta back inside their own in-goal area. He had a good chase, the ball, just a little bit too much power on it. Parramatta get back out to the 22-metre line.
And they've worked it, in fact, about 10 metres short of halfway now. in the 2 plays from the tap restart. Sharp, blind side they go again with Clinton. There's the gap. And there are some gaps being exposed on that blind side by Parramatta. Sharp, Farella, the zip man they call him, but he's no zipping there.
He got
straight into Wally Lewis, and a bone-jarring tackle as the 2 number 6s come together. That's Laurie, stepped off the left foot. That's good cover by Mark Hone. Final tackle. No one in the second line for the Broncos. The kick over the top. Hancock had dropped back well, reading the play very effectively, but couldn't get around Brett Atkins. Parramatta seem to come up with, no matter what era, they all seem to be coming up with big wing 3/4. And Atkins is no exception.
That's right, well, I believe he played quite a bit of his football in the forwards as well, so he'd be quite happy to take up a position in the number 5 or number 2 jumper.
So Canescu gets to his feet. That's Langer and Tessman. Tried to bump through the tackle of Setri. Played the ball quickly, and Canescu makes easy ground up the middle of the ruck. Tessman couldn't unload. Final tackle for the Broncos. 13 minutes gone, first half. And the penalty awarded against Parramatta, creeping up inside the 5. So referee Brian Grant has been quite persistent with that.
Only a marginal one too. Parramatta there on the blind side, being caught just inside the 5 metres. It was on the 6th tackle, so a very significant penalty, that one. The Broncos would have been forced to change over possession, but now they get another 6, and they also get quite a bit of territory.
So that's the 3rd penalty awarded by referee Brian Grant for picking players for inside the 5 on that defensive line. Canescu unloading it open side to Tessman. 2-man tackle by Parramatta, led by Clinton and also by Bugden, the 2 prop forwards combining there. There's the switch of play. Miles changes the point of direction. The basketball pass out to Grant Ricks, but he can't handle it.
Well, if that was part of the set move, everything had been done right with Miles searching across that right-hand side, but they really needed an extra runner other than just Ricks out there. There were plenty of open spaces. The pass wasn't a particularly good one to Ricks. Now look at this, Miles searches right to the edge of that ruck. They just needed an extra runner there in that 10 metres, and there could have been an opportunity and a try on for the Broncos.
Well, there's Ella. That's the 2nd time he's been met in good, solid defence. That time by Brett Leman, who was very quickly out of the scrum. Mick Delroy, a member of the 86 premiership side for Parramatta. Gee, I wish he'd be hoping that he'd have a few of his old teammates from that side running around here today at the Parramatta Stadium, but most of them are on the injured list. Gene Miles, who was picked off very easily in the tackle by Setri. Michael Hancock looking for work. He's taken down about 10 metres short of the goal line. Canescu with both sides of the field to work. Comes this side to Langer. And 6 more to go. Well, I didn't think Parramatta actually played at the ball, but that's the way referee Brian Grant's seen it. So a very, very valuable decision as far as the Broncos are concerned. Noak, Lewis, Miles. Oh, beautiful pass for Scott. And Colin Scott has linked up very, very well in the opening 15 minutes of this game. Now Lewis, showing his strength to stand in the tackle, but coming over the top was Sharp. There goes Miles, close to the line, passed it back, and it's a Parramatta ball.
Lewis tried to get a hand on it as Miles stretched, but really no one in support of him. Miles, had he had someone there straight away as he stood in the tackle, I'm sure he would have made a better effort at offloading. He was really hung out there for a long, long time.
Well, Terry, I made the comment earlier in the stand-up before the match that he wouldn't be hearing or seeing too much support for the Broncos here today at the Parramatta Stadium.
Well, this Parramatta crowd is very loyal, and of course they're screaming out at the moment to the referee, get the Broncos back there 5 metres. But for Parramatta, Mick Delroy, every time he's joined in the line, has looked very explosive, and also Brian Jackson's made a great start to this match.
Back for Ella. There's the kick again downfield, right down the centre of the ground, going again to Ricks. Oh, Chalmers got the bounce, but knocked it on.
Had to be offside, had to be. And Brian Grant agrees. Penalty to the Broncos. Of course, you must stay behind the kicker. If you don't, there's Chalmers jogging back. If you're not behind the kicker, he's well and truly offside. A good 5 or 6 metres. If you're not behind the kicker, you must stay 5 metres away from the ball until the player has run those 5 metres. Chalmers just trying his luck, I guess, more than anything.
That's a tremendous kick from Wally Lewis. It's taken the Broncos deep into the attacking quarter. Canescu with the tap restart for Grant Ricks. And Ricks settles it on tackle number 1. Tessman goes blind, Hone goes open. Canescu again changing the point of attack with Miles. But gee, they read that play well defensively, Parramatta. Up very quickly on Gene Miles. Billy Noak at dummy half through Langer. Then to his captain, Lewis. He came back infield, unloaded the pass. Away for Brett LeMan. Running sideways. Oh, and good defence again by Parramatta. LeMan tapped it and went on his own. Oh, and he's so close to the line. Canescu, they've got the numbers left if they want to come. Langer delayed the pass and gave it to Gene Miles. Oh, numbers beautifully, Scott. Teeman. And Teeman's short of the line and a turnover of possession.
What a great tackle that one from Parramatta. Atkins was in there, I think so was Steve Ella. No, it wasn't, it was Delroy. And well, good defence, Broncos driving Parramatta back inside their in-goal area. And Teeman gets a pat on the head. Young Craig Teeman, the youngest Bronco, gets a pat on the head from Wally Lewis.
And in fact, not only the youngest Bronco, one of the youngest players running around in the A grade, 18 and a half.
A player with a great deal of potential. Showed great defensive skills there as well. And as David mentioned, Captain Wally Lewis, first man on the spot to pat the youngster on the head and say, job well done. So Ella, the dropout again, this time going straight to Teevan. He's got support on the outside of Ricks, but ran away from that support and takes it straight to the quarter line. So the Broncos open the try scoring in the 5th minute with that try by Lewis, converted by Lewis, and Ella's come up with 2 penalty goals for Parramatta. The Broncos lead 6-4, and we're fast approaching the halfway mark of this first half. Hone driving it up the middle. Broncos lined either side. Option taken to the far side through Langer. Cut out Miles, gave it to Tessman. Langer knocks it on. So fundamental errors are letting the Broncos down.
Yeah, they played a lot of the match inside Parramatta's quarterway, but they've only come up with that one try, and that was to Lewis off Langer. And in the last 5 minutes or so, they've had plenty of opportunities. Parramatta looked to be struggling quite a few times. There's a pass back from Tessman. Langer couldn't quite handle it. Parramatta won the scrum.
Well, Delroy taken 10 metres out from his own goal line. Ericsson runs away from dummy half. Sported the headgear against Penrith. He's come out without that today. Jackson, his centre partner, is the man that will slot into dummy half and takes it to the quarter line. Kept the ball alive through Ericsson. He in turn for Taylor. Then for Laurie, but Laurie's taken just beyond the quarter. Kept it alive again. It's out with Peter Ford. Stepping run, but a top tackle from Langer and also from Tessman. For Billy at the halfway mark of the second half, 4 handling errors have let the Broncos down, as David mentioned, had all the territory.
Yes, they've had the run on Parramatta, but just can't quite finish it off. But there's been some, despite the handling lapses, and a couple of lapses in defence, such as this, as Jackson goes through, can't get the pass away.
Great tackle, Colin Scott. Good tackle.
Away from dumping half, Laurie. Kick through by Ella. Hancock's dropping back. He lets it bounce, picks it up, juggles it a bit. Ella trying to put him back, and he's into the in-goal area.
Good work, Parramatta. They sweep from one end of the field to the other. They ran the ball nicely. Clinton made a good break. Parramatta tried to carry it on. Then the little kick on the 5th tackle by Ella. And Hancock took some time. The ball was bouncing awkwardly. He got it inside the field of play, but then the drive and the push from Parramatta, they've returned the favour on the Broncos as he's forced well into the in-goal area. And now the boot is on the other foot. The Broncos' chance now, or their turn, to do a bit of defending.
Another big long drop out by Wally Lewis. Knockback, says the referee. So Setri starting to run it up. And Brett LeMan's the man underneath.
Well, even though he had it back to the try line there, Setri, I still felt he dragged the ball forward.
Upending him in the tackle that time was Billy Noak. So back to Bugden. Dummy half waiting for it is Sharp. Taylor to Laurie. Ella outside, coming through nicely there was the centre in Ericsson. So getting up to play it, Broncos have got possession.
Charged down there by Chris Johns, and he got back to dive on the ball. Interesting too there to see Wally Lewis actually tell Alan Langer to get in behind the line. Lewis was quite happy then to fulfil his role in the front line and to get little Alan Langer in behind.
Brett LeMan taking it up, but Steve Clinton soon stopped the progress there. Lewis with the kick underneath it. And another big long one from Wally Lewis, who got away from Delroy. His dropouts and those couple of kicks he's had, those place kicks that he's had, have been enormous kicks also.
He's really getting some territory, and it's important territory too, as the Broncos show a good chase. Parramatta slow to get back.
So away from the dummy half spot is Atkins. Still going Atkins. But eventually Andrew Tessman gets underneath him. Tessman's done some big tackles here in this first half, getting the shoulder right in underneath. Crowd are happy now. Parramatta getting a penalty.
Yes, inside the 5 metres, the Broncos, but their defence, the missed tackles must be mounting now for the Broncos. They've certainly missed their share of tackles. Parramatta are a side that will definitely back up well. They might not have a lot of ability in their side in terms of the real big-name players, but certainly what they have got is a good backup. They've got a good team game that relies on players getting in support, and the Broncos can't afford to miss tackles.
So now turning around with it is Ford. Then Ella ends up with it straight through the hands of Delroy, picked up by Ericsson. Ericsson starting to move, going to be solidly tackled by Johns though. Dummy half is Atkins. Decides to go himself. Johns and Lewis there. Lewis ending up finishing off the tackle. Ericsson to Taylor. Taylor gets it across on them to Ford. Ford knocked over right in midway between the half and quarter line. Down in Broncos territory. Doubling around over there is Clinton. Still going Clinton. Got it away to Jackson. That's going to be a mile forward.
But gee, the damage is being done. It was only because Jackson overran the pass. The gap had been created by Clinton. And Broncos really scrambling to get back into position. Let's have a look at it. Clinton goes across the ruck, hits the defensive line, looks to offload the ball. There's Jackson, knocked it forward just as he tried to pick it up. And the Broncos certainly missing far too many tackles. That's a good dozen they've missed, and also now another error. Really an undisciplined display from the Broncos. Ill afford those sort of mistakes. First tackle, they've now turned it over to Parramatta. They're in a fine attacking position.
This is Ella with it. Ella away to Jackson. He's been the danger man in this first half for them. So Ella again running across field. Just inside the quarter line, the Parramatta attack. Taylor swings it away then to Sharp. Sharp put down, but only about 15 metres out from the Broncos line. Away from dummy half Chalmers. Lost the ball, Broncos ball.
Good work that from Alan Langer. Made 2 tackles in a row along with the assistance of Tessman on the first one, but Langer sprinted out of the marker position to make sure that Chalmers didn't get a clear run and forced him to lose the ball. It's that sort of urgency the Broncos are going to need.
So now this is Billy Noak working up the centre. Noak. Canescu, Broncos lead is 6 points to 4. This is Gene Miles. Tackled by Setri and also Taylor. Final tackle. Dummy half is Canescu to Lewis. Lewis up the centre again. But it goes straight to Atkins. He's going to be tackled over in the centre there by Mark Hone. Away from dummy half Taylor. Delroy. Jackson again. Jackson up over the halfway mark. He's got Ella inside. Sends it away to Ella. Shot the gate. He's over the quarter and he's home. Steve Ella in for the try and Parramatta go to a lead of 10 points to, or rather 8 points to 6.
They've been threatening it all along. That's the 5th try from Steve Ella. Good work though from Jackson again to burst onto the pass. There's been plenty of breaks out wide. The Broncos haven't been able to contain them. Their defence has been scrambling out of the dummy half. Delroy once again. He was the man who showed did the damage. Ricks had come inside. Also, Craig Teevan had tried to make a double tackle, but beautiful backup play by Ella. He's in underneath the sticks, and Parramatta, who've had the better of the match because the Broncos have made far too many errors. Let's have a look at it again. Delroy does well to stand in the tackle, draws in 2, one of which was young Teevan, and then the brush off to the big fellow in Tessman. Jackson looks on the inside. Who should be there but the zip-zip man, Steve Ella. No one there for the Broncos by that stage. He flashes away to put it down under the sticks. Michael Hancock's too late, and Parramatta finally have put it across the try line after threatening to do it for plenty of time.
Well, they've exposed them out wide on several occasions in this first half, and this time it was Jackson again. Superb run by the very poor defence by Brisbane through Ricks and Tessman, and he drew the fullback Colin Scott. He had no other option, and Steve Ella, Billy, showed a great deal of pace for a man that is obviously in the veteran class.
Yes, and he shows how to do it here too. Puts it over, so that now gives Parramatta a lead of 10 points to 6. 14 minutes remaining in this first half, and Parramatta getting through for their first try of the match and taking a lead of 10 points to 6. So Lewis to restart play. Another big long one from Wally Lewis. Back there to Taylor, who immediately unloads it, and Mick Delroy is the man to bring it up. About 15 metres out now from the Parramatta line. So back over there to Setri. Setri put over 20 metres out from his own line. So Sharp getting it back over to Bugden. Tackler underneath is Kinescu. Lewis coming in over the top just to push him back that little bit. Sharp to Taylor. Running across field. Setri. Taylor again, dummy half. Stepping up the centre is Laurie. Final tackle now. So Taylor puts the boot underneath it. Another big long kick. Going back, Grant Ricks. Colin Scott is there. Takes it on the bounce. Scotty starts to move. Let's have a look here. Coming in over the top is Chalmers. Teven from dummy half sends it back inside. This is Grant Ricks. And the dummy half is Alan Langer this time. Hone straight up the centre. Going all right until Clinton came at him. They drove him back in the tackle. Kinescu. Tessman. Tessman finding his way for that extra couple of metres. Kinescu again to Lewis. Cuts out Langer. Gets it to Miles standing wide. Teven. And Rick's going to ground with it over there. From the play, the ball a long one to Wally Lewis. Lewis with the boot underneath it again. This one pulling up a little bit. It runs into the in-goal area. But they're going to be able to run it out a little bit with Sharp there. Delroy dummy half, towed through this time by Johns. Johns wins the race for the ball.
Tried. He's going to award it for sure. Well, quick thinking by Chris Johns. Once the ball's on the ground, you can strike at it. And it was Chalmers, I think, he got up to play the ball. Or no, it might have been Sharp, the number 12. He got back there. Let's have a look at it again. We'll find out. Up there to play the ball was Sharp. Once the ball's on the ground, you can legally kick at the ball. And Johns races for it, just beats Delroy. Downward pressure by the hand signifies a try. Good work from Chris Johns. Quick thinking, the ball's on the ground. Clean strike. And then Grant took off to see whether he could ground it or not. Certainly correct decision. Chris Johns has done well to get the Broncos back in the match.
So now we'll wait for Wally Lewis and his attempted goal. So it was the long Lewis kick downfield once again, which put them under that bit of pressure. And Sharp just not quite aware as Johns struck at the ball and away they went. So the Broncos getting back within a matter of minutes, 4 minutes in fact, after Steve Ellis scored the try. And that's exactly what the doctor ordered, I'd imagine.
Yes, they had to strike back, and actually the preceding rucks to that Lewis kick downfield. Whilst they weren't making much territory, and Parramatta was certainly getting in there and doing some heavy defence. It was good, solid stuff, and the Broncos can't lose sight of that. They've got to do the hard work.
So here's Lewis. You'll hear from the crowd what it's all about. And you guessed he missed it. So it's 10 points all here at Parramatta Stadium. The Broncos and the Parramatta Eels. 10 minutes to go in the first half.
So play back to halfway. Wally Lewis, 1 from 2. And that could be a bit of a problem for the Broncos in the remaining 3 or 2.5 matches in 88 leading up to the semi-finals. Terry Madison, 150 points for the Broncos. Started the season with that 24-point haul.
Terry Kennedy down there on the sideline. Wally didn't look too happy as he was running towards you there, Terry.
No, he's not very happy. Of course, he doesn't like the kicking duties. Before the game, it was said that he would have a couple of shots. If he wasn't successful, Billy Noak would take over. But, of course, Colin Scott is also in this side. He has kicked for Queensland and, of course, did all the kicking for Winner Manly. So there's another third person who could take over the kicking duties. But Wally also got quite a serve from about 6 members of the I Hate Wally fan club straight behind me.
Well, there's Teven. I don't know whether they really hate him. I think they love to hate him. And I think you'll find that this Parramatta Stadium will warm to Wally Lewis at the end of the match, as most of the clubs have done throughout this 1988 entry by the Broncos. There's a bad mistake. And it's given the ball back to Parramatta on the halfway line. It's Laurie that will play it. Taylor a dummy half. That's a poor pass. Can Brisbane capitalise on it? It's picked up by Erickson. He's a smart stepping centre. He's run across field, beat 2 tackles, but he was run down by Tessman and ultimately by Chris Johns. Jackson, dummy half. The wrap around with Jackson again. But that's better defence. Mark Hone's done his work in that defensive department.
Well, that's his job to get in there and make plenty of tackles too. And it's important that the Broncos don't miss them. It's not so much the ones that you make, but they've missed far too many, and they'll need to make everyone count.
Well, Mark Hone has made 11 in this first half. That is now 32 minutes old. A half that so far has produced 3 tries and a very enterprising and entertaining display out here today. Now Hancock winds up from inside the quarter. tried to bump out of the tackle of Ericsson, but he stuck to him like glue and brought him down inside the quarter. Brett LeMan, very important cog in this Broncos machine, spent a bit of time on the sidelines early in the season with injury. Gene Miles back to Billy Noak, bumped out of one and took it 10 metres beyond the quarter line at Brisbane's end of the ground. Canescu, Mark Hone, got the pass away to Canescu, kept it alive through Johns, supporters there through LeMan, but he can't get the pass away and in fact has turned over possession once again. So it's a Parramatta ball midway between the half and the 22 at Brisbane's end of the ground. Laurie to Ella, out to Ericsson, support of Chalmers on the outside, but Teven and Ricks wrap him up on that far side, right in front of the Michael Cronin stand, which is bathed in sunshine at this stage. Beautiful day in Sydney. There goes Atkins. He's taken about 5 metres short of the quarter line. Sharp looking for the runner in Setri, and he's hit by Tessman in the tackle, but he takes play beyond the quarter line. Parramatta on attack. 10-all here at Parramatta Stadium. Atkins has come in from the right wing to take over a bit of the workload off this Parramatta pack. Sharp scurries away from dummy half, and he's taken centre field 10 metres out from the goal line on tackle number 5. It goes back for Taylor. Taylor's attempted drop goal as a shocker, so play will come back. I didn't think that was the right option at this stage of the game.
7 minutes to go in the first half. He would have been looking at that aspect. 10-all. They could have got 1 point in front, but he positioned himself nicely to make the kick and then was forced to run out of position by Billy Noak, who forced him wide. Good work from Noak, and that made it difficult for him to get a good angle on the shot.
So it's allowed the Brisbane side to come away with the ball. And our statistician Graham Roberts tells me that the referee Brian Grant miscounted the last set of 6, which could have possibly put Taylor into that no man's land, not expecting the ball to come to him on the 6th tackle. Back it goes. Alanga out for Lewis. Interesting to know whether it was 5 or 7 that he counted in the set of 6. Out it goes. Teven back for Ricks. And Graham Roberts tells me that he gave Parramatta 7. So coming into the Greg Hartley mould as Wayne Bennett looks on intently. He's sending a lot of directions down at the moment with the score locked at 10-all.
Lewis absolutely ropeable there. That was the 6th tackle. He was screaming for the ball out wide. Change over to Parramatta, and they're great in broken play.
There's Ella. Has come up with Parramatta's sole try. In fact, has scored all their points with a try and 2 goals in this first half as Setri takes it beyond the halfway line. Ella, a dummy half for Taylor. Parramatta of the numbers out wide. Taylor came back infield, gave it to Sharp, the hooker. Comes to Langer and Tessman, and underneath was Billy Noak. 10-all.
Crowd really roaring out here, David. Those outside backs for the Broncos well offside. They've been doing it for the last 5 minutes.
And the referee must be aware of it. Chris Johns is well offside. Forward, taken by Mark Hone. Lewis sending out directions there, getting this defence settled, and that's out on the full. So that will give loose head and feed to the Brisbane Broncos. 10 metres outside their own quarter, and we're into the final 5 of this first half.
Broncos markers need to work very hard. We saw Mark Hone make a very good tackle out of the marker position, the ruck before that.
Well, the referee allowed play to go on. If that ball went in the tunnel, I'm a poor judge, and I think the crowd agree with it. But Michael Hancock, that's a shocking mistake, particularly at this vital stage of the game into the last 5. It's Parramatta with the feed. They're inside the attacking half.
Here it is again, the quick play the ball, Miles out to Hancock. No reason at all to lose this one. Under pressure though from Atkins. Simple take, lost it into touch.
Delroy was looking for the wraparound with Ella. Penalty. That's against Chris Johns, not getting off the tackle player.
Well, this will be another chance for Ella to put the Eels in front. 10-all at the moment. There's only 4 minutes to go. Looks like he's decided that they want to keep the pressure on and go for the big points in the dying minutes of the first half. Bit surprised. I thought the 2 points were on offer.
Parramatta leading the penalty count 5-2, and that's allowed them to put enormous pressure on the Broncos in the first 40 minutes. 36 minutes of play gone first half. It's for Clinton, blindside with Ella. For Laurie. Laurie got through 1 tackle, but again, Tessman was the man that mowed him down. Quick play the ball required. Ella, that could well have been a penalty to Parramatta. Now Sharp, dummy half for Taylor, running wide and then turning it back for Ford. Brisbane defence equal to the task. Ella exploiting the blind with Clinton. Came with a wraparound again. Kept it away for Delroy. Beautiful pass, Atkins. Oh, no try.
No try.
No try.
Touch and goal. The touch judge deciding he hit the corner post first. Gee, it was a good effort by Atkins, although I think he was carrying the ball in the left arm. Let's have a look at it. Nice little set piece. Ella goes around here to create the overlap. Delroy in good position. Gives the extra man to Atkins. Cover defence from Colin Scott. In the left arm was Atkins, and then bang, knocked into touch. And the Broncos, boy, they needed to hold them out there with only 3 minutes to go up to half-time. The score's still locked at 10-all.
Well, while Jackson has made some of the breaks out wide, gee, hasn't Ella exploited them in close to the ruck with that little wraparound?
Lot of crossfield running from Parramatta, and it's very effective.
Setri wrapping up Billy Noak in the tackle. They're 10 metres short of the halfway line, the Broncos. Kinescu for Langer. He threw the dummy, but picked off by Laurie. Over the top came Clinton and Sharp. Mark Hone. Back for Lewis. There's the kick downfield again. Well, that will get to the in-goal area. Oh, it's hit the post. And that's Delroy. Oh, easily got past Langer. And in turn got past Teven.
Hasn't he been a handy addition to the side? David Leard, who was dropped from the match against Penrith last week after making a pathetic effort to take a bomb underneath his goal post, which resulted in a Penrith try. Delroy's come into the side and he's been sensational.
Well, there's Jackson again giving it to Taylor in this crossfield, running again with Sharp. That's good ball distribution by Sharp and Ella. Ella bumps out of one, but he's taken by Kinescu. And he's midway between the half and the 22 at Parramatta's end of the ground. It's 10-all. 38 minutes gone first half. Bugden taking it upfield. Slowly to his feet. Sharp as the man of dummy half. Taylor. Good pass for Clinton, but good defence by Billy Noak. So 5 tackles gone in the set of 6 for Parramatta. Taylor this time will do the kick and general play, and like Steve Ella before, off the side of the boot and into touch on the fall.
Well, surprising really. Taylor disappointed with his effort. These guys know this ground better than anyone, but just rushing things a little bit. They had plenty of time there to put the kick in. The Broncos have won the scrum.
And Lewis had a quick look at the clock. He knows that we're into the final minute of this first half. Running away is Brett LeMan. Underneath was Steve Sharp. Kinescu rushing into dummy half, knowing the urgency. Lewis with an attempt to drop goal. That's a great looking kick, but it's wide of the mark. Well, when I saw him have a look at the clock, Dave, I thought something was going through the mind of Wally Lewis.
Yes, he's a great clock watcher as Lewis. He attempted a long-range field goal. This will give us a great idea just how close it did go. Went out to the left-hand side as we look at it. Let's have a look at it. Brian Grant keeping a close eye on it. Just shaved the upright. Just missed it on his right. And the Broncos can't add to their score. The score's still locked at half-time, 10-all.
Great first 40 minutes, and I'm sure the second 40 will produce some great action. Don't go away. We'll be back at the Parramatta Stadium for Super League 88 in just a moment.
Right, back for the second half. Referee Brian Grant blows the whistle to start play, and Steve Ella with the boot right underneath it. Terry Kennedy's been lurking around the dressing rooms. What have you got to report, TK?
Neither side has made any changes at half-time, Billy, but of course Wayne Bennett has not been happy with the way Broncos have handled the first 40 minutes of this match. He reckons the forwards have had to do too much work, and he wants Wally Lewis to get that back line deep and give the backs some more work, especially in attack.
I noticed he came and had a chat to you on the way into the dressing room. Did you pass on anything at all?
Wayne was concerned about who did miss that tackle, which led to the Ella try.
So someone copped it on your recommendation.
Not on purpose.
I hope he got the right fella.
Right, that's Billy Noak with it now. The final tackle coming up. Kinescu is the dummy half. He'll swing it across to Lewis. Lewis with the boot downfield. But Delroy is going to let it bounce a little bit, then take it. Starts to run straight ahead. 10 metres short of the halfway mark. And it's Jackson up there, one of the danger men. Gets it outside then to Eriksson. Good first half, did Jackson. Found quite a few holes, and there's another penalty coming up to Parramatta.
Gee, that's a silly one too, interfering in the play of the ball. The penalty's now 6-2 in favour of Parramatta. That's quite a significant advantage. The Broncos seldom on the good side of the ledger there. There's Kinescu coming over the top to make the tackle. I think it was Chris Johns, the man who got up second. A little bit of a bump and knocked into the ground. Parramatta with a chance to put first points on in the second half.
So Sharp came up and took the tap. It works across field. And going to ground with it, Atkins plays it forward, gets up to the quarter line. and eventually put to the ground, but Parramatta on the move. From the play, the ball back it comes then to the big front rower, Clinton. Dummy half waiting for it is Sharp. To Taylor. Taylor getting it outside. To Laurie, back inside to Taylor. Taylor close, put down about 3 metres out now from the Broncos line. Dummy half is Sharp. Waits for it. Back inside. Close one, but the Broncos defence just hanging on. They've got the ball.
It was Gene Miles who put the big tackle. He came out on top.
So that's Tessman getting up to play it. Dummy half is Greg Kinescu. Puts the head down, can't get around Clinton. Takes him ball and all. So this is Chris Johns. Bugden over the top. In underneath is Setri. Kinescu, Lewis. Another big kick from Lewis. Delroy running across. It'll bounce away from him. He'll eventually retrieve inside his own quarter. Plenty of Broncos defence up there. And eventually put down by Leman and Hancock. So away from dummy half is Atkins. Ten metres short of the halfway mark. Parramatta in possession. And 10 points all. The score. That's Setri. Dummy half Sharp. To Taylor. Ella. Sends it outside then to Ericsson. Ericsson on the muscle again. Trying to get it back inside. Gene Miles will end up with it.
Wally Lewis who missed the tackle there on Ericsson. He made a good break. Lewis really should have made the tackle, and it's been the downfall of the Broncos in the first half. Parramatta aside. They keep missing tackles, the Broncos. Parramatta will make them pay the price.
Well, Wayne Bennett wanted them to get it out wide. Lewis with that big long pass, certainly trying to get it out widely on that occasion. Back to Lewis again. Here's a bit of a go. Lewis sends it back inside. There's Kinescu up the centre. Turns around, but taken in the tackle there by Buck.
And hurt Kinescu. He lost the ball. The referees decided too that he lost it in the tackle, and therefore a scrum will pack. He was pulled down awkwardly there by Bugden.
He's had that bad neck, and that could well have aggravated that. He doesn't look too flash at all at the moment, Greg Kinescu.
I thought it might have been lower back, Fordo, the way he was pulled awkwardly over. Let's have a look at it. He turns his back on the defence looking for the pass, and then crunched by Bugden and pulled awkwardly to the ground.
Well, he knows what injury's about. He's had a fair bit of it this year, but he always seems to bounce back.
They actually might be checking out a leg injury. It could have easily been a leg caught underneath Bugden as he was twisted backwards, an ankle. And we've got Kinescu now gaining attention. Bad luck for Greg Kinescu. As you're saying, Bill, he's had his problems with injury this year. It looks like certainly an ankle injury as he was twisted severely, but the outcome of all this is going to be that Parramatta will have loose head and feet to the scrum, and once again a chance to go on the attack.
10 points all at the moment at Parramatta Stadium. Well, there you can see it. Greg Kinescu leaving the field, and Kieran Walters coming on to take his place in the hooking position. Well, that's bad news for Kinescu. It's been a tale of woe for him this year. Going to ground eventually in the tackle of Alan Langer is Laurie. Out of the next one there is Ford. Dummy half Sharp. Taylor. Taylor getting it across into Clinton. Sharp again as dummy half. Swings it back to Taylor. It cuts out Setri, gets it away then to Laurie. Laurie with a pass back then to Ford. Ford getting it away to Setri, and Setri will score, and Parramatta open the scoring in the second half and have a lead of 14-10.
Great try that one from Setri. It's his second try. We remember he scored one against Penrith last week. Good backup play. The back rowers combined particularly well. Peter Ford turned it back on the inside, but Setri was there to score the try. The Broncos were short on this blind side. Two players that come in there, Langer and Teven. There's the little flick pass, well done. And Ford took it nicely. The one-hander then on the inside to Setri. Defence too late. Hone hasn't got the pace. Setri goes around to improve the position. He puts it down just to the outside of the uprights. Parramatta, who looked very good with the football, turn it back on the blind side. Langer caught in no man's land. Back on the outside comes the pass. The flick by one player back to Ford. Ford then on to Setri, and Setri goes around to put it down right next to the post. Parramatta have hit the front.
Well, defence is something that let the Broncos down earlier in the season. It's been a first class of the last few weeks, but certainly exposed out wide there. Tremendous play. Ford did exceptionally well to get the pass back in one hand to his second row partner, Setri. And as David Wright said, he scored against Penrith last week. He comes up with another 4-pointer and a vital one so early in the second half.
So some good play there, some nice play, as a matter of fact. Ford doing particularly well to, as David said, get that pass back inside. So Parramatta have a lead of 16 points to 10. The try coming 5 minutes into the second half. Well, in the first half when Parramatta scored, the Broncos bounced back within 5 minutes to score themselves. So let's see whether they can repeat the dose in this second half.
Steve Ella, Bill, has kicked 4 from 4 today in a very good goal-kicking display.
Right, so now it's Delroy there with it. Put down about 20 metres out from his own line. Dummy half is Sharp. Deciding to go himself because the runner outside of him, Ford, had overrun him. This is Bugden. Heavily strapped up on both arms today is Bugden. Sharp. Away from that dummy half spot, but Billy Noak is the man to put him down. Clinton, Taylor, Ella. Ella's going to kick, and he sets Colin Scott racing across field, but it bounces well for him. Up over the quarter. Scott running it out. Can't get away from Ericsson's tackle. Dummy half over there is Michael Hancock. Has a bit of a run himself, but doesn't get too far.
That's it. The Broncos carry out Bennett's instructions, and that is to move the ball around.
Lewis. Ooh, Sennett's going to lose it. Now that's he's playing a knock on, which the ball came off Brett LeMan there, or Billy Noak. Billy Noak.
Well, Lewis had held the pass up. The opportunity on the outside was there if he wanted to move it wide. But now Parramatta again with a chance to go on the attack.
So Taylor, it's going to be picked up by Laurie at the back of the scrum to Delroy. Delroy out of the tackle of Scott, gets his pass outside, this time to Chalmers. Chalmers back inside. Eventually going to be put over the tackle there of Gene Miles. Out of penalty, Parramatta.
He could go for a short time here because Brian Grant is going to call over Gene Miles. He had a swinging arm at Chalmers initially, knocked him to the ground and then got back up and chased him and then effected the tackle. Lewis in there to hear what he's got to say. Brian Grant, I don't think he's now going to put him in the bin. He's giving him a fair lecture. But Parramatta, they've got a 6-point lead at the moment. They could easily extend it. Here we go again. Miles, there he is, just cuffing him there on the first occasion. And Chalmers falls to the ground there. Then Miles follows up and comes over the top. Quite okay at that stage because Chalmers was going to get up and run again. Colin Scott, or no, it was Ricks who'd come in to also assist in the tackle. Miles not up quickly enough to for the referee's liking. And Ella, as we said, he's got a perfect kicking record to date. Most of them have been fairly easy, apart from the first one, which was a fair way out. This one will test him on the 22-metre line, 8 metres in from touch.
How vital is it, though, because it'll kick them away to an 8-point lead.
Yes, very important kick here for Parramatta. And Steve Ella has the ball placed right on the quarter line, and he's about 8 metres in from touch. Well, the crowd not too happy about Gene Miles escaping without any time in the sin bin. So here's Ella. At this stage, we're 9 minutes into the second half. Parramatta's lead 16 points to 10. And you can leave it at that. Here's a bit of a dash to try and get out of that in-goal area, but he can't. Parramatta up very smartly.
Good chase from Parramatta. They had two options. One was to kick it dead. The other one was to make sure that Broncos couldn't get out of their own in-goal area. I guess the third one was the 2 points. They've done well to keep them trapped down, and Lewis will have to drop it out from underneath his goal posts.
So there's the big long one, carrying back to Setri, the try scorer. And a good performance from Parramatta today.
Penalties favouring Parramatta at the moment by 7-2.
Here's Ella, gets it away to Jackson, back inside. Lewis took him, but he got the pass away to Ella again. Still going. Walters came in over the top.
Well, the Broncos want to go up a gear, Bill. I think they've been running around in about first or second gear. They need a lot more urgency in their game. They're just going through the motions. Someone's going to have to pick them up and get them going forward, get a bit of aggression in their tackling, because just at the moment, Parramatta are doing what they like.
And here's Ford coming up to the quarter line. Dummy half is Sharp. Power on the move again. Taylor outside then to the front rower Clinton. He kept it alive. That's Sharp. Back comes this time to Ella. Ella finding a way through. This is Jackson. Jackson can't get it through and he can't get it away.
Good tackle.
So Taylor from dummy half. Little grubber kick through. Dived on in the in-goal area.
Well, the Broncos under pressure again. Gaps are being found by Ella and fellas like Erickson. They're applying plenty of pressure to the Broncos. They've got to hang on. There's a little kick from Taylor. Knocked down by Hone. Back on the spot was Teban. He did well, just as well he was there, because Taylor would have been there to score it himself. The Broncos need a breather. They're not going to get it.
Here's the drop out by Lewis. They're under a ton of pressure here at the moment from this Parramatta side. Running it up is Delroy. Head down. Gene Miles just got him.
They've got to move up in the defence and get up there and work out a marker. Parramatta are just having a training run. They're just standing in tackles and offloading.
That's Atkins into the attack, put to the ground on the quarter line. Sharp to Bugden, taking it up. But a nice tackle there by Noak, right in around the ankles. So back this time to Clinton. 10 metres out, Parramatta. Sharp to Taylor. Ella. Ella back inside. That's Laurie. Stands in the tackle. Ford about to play it on the final tackle. So Taylor kicks a crossfield this time. Got to be taken by Chris Johns. And I suppose the good news for the Broncos, he's in the field of play.
And they need to control possession here too. They want to be able to work the ball up the other end of the field. No mistakes at this stage. They've made plenty of them in this match. They put a lot of pressure on themselves. They haven't had the urgency. It's difficult to change a mental attitude halfway through a game. But the Broncos need that. They need a little bit of inspiration from the dynamic duo.
Particularly as in this first half, Parramatta have been on quite a roll. That's Lewis with it. He'll be put to the ground 24 metres out now from the Broncos line. TK.
With me on the sideline is Terry Madison. Terry, firstly, not the sharpest we've ever seen the Broncos.
No, Terry, hopefully there's still 28 minutes to go, and hopefully we can get out of it.
Of course, the goal kicking from Wally Lewis has been a bit off today. When will you be back, and how is the knee?
Oh, it's looking pretty good at the moment, Terry. Hopefully I'll be back next week, but it depends on what the doctor says on Monday.
Of course, you wouldn't want to, with the semi-finals coming up, you wouldn't want to rush back onto the field.
No, I won't be rushing back. It's all in the doctor's hands. I'll just wait and see what he says.
Terry Madison, hope you're back soon.
I think all Broncos supporters feel exactly the same way. Wally Lewis today has kicked 1 from 2. Steve Ella 4 from 5, and that's helped kick Parramatta away to a 16-10 lead. Here goes Langer, trying to change that. He's inside the quarter line, but the defence is there of Mick Delroy. The Broncos on the boil. It goes out Laman to Lewis, and Miles running out wide. Stood in the tackle and driven back in some good defence of Peter Ford and Mark Laurie. Kerrod Walters, the replacement for Greg Kinescu, feeds Hone. 27 minutes of play remaining in the second half. Noak, the pass for Teban, taken by Delroy in the tackle. The cover came in the form of Jackson. Now Lewis, Miles, and Miles just a metre short.
6 tackle, changeover, good work from Parramatta. They held the Broncos out. Lewis and Miles tried that typical play. Lewis across field, Miles charging at the defence. He's done a bit of damage to one of the Parramatta players. It's Bugden up slowly, but Parramatta now in possession.
And Laurie was very slow to get up from that last tackle as well, as Tessman comes in over the top. Jackson resented the tackle. Taylor, a dummy half, cut out Laurie. Atkins and gave it to Ella. But Ella's taken in the centre of the ground, 10 metres out from his own goal line.
Important that Broncos don't give away a penalty in this area of the ground now. They want to force Parramatta to kick.
Parramatta have controlled the ball very well in the second half. 2 very impressive sets of 6 to keep the Broncos pinned down to their own goal line. And now the Broncos are trying to do exactly the same with Parramatta. Back it goes. Taylor, good pressure put on by Tessman. The kick for Hancock. Oh, no, that will give loose head and feed. That is a dreadful mistake. He got an awkward bounce, but then he took the wrong option at the end.
Yes, he's had a couple of unfortunate incidents today as Hancock. He ran into touch on one other occasion, and there he elected to, at the last minute, to get the bouncing ball. Just as he did, he slipped. Parramatta now surely will win this scrum and put pressure back on.
And they're back inside the attacking half. It's Taylor feeding Ella. The decoy was Jackson. That's good defence, and Scott picks the ball up. So Parramatta this time turning the ball over on the first tackle, Lewis. And the Broncos now full of running. Hancock in to try and make amends for that error before Langer. Looking for the runner in Hone, and he's found him. And he bumped through the first one, got it to Langer. The gap was there. He made a valuable 2 or 3. Back now for Walters, replacement player, Lewis. Stepping run from King Wally, now for Gene Miles.
Miles looks tired. He played the midweek game.
Oh, dreadful pass from Gene Miles. Parramatta have got him back. Well, the error rate has been astronomical here by the Broncos today, and that's reflected in the scoreline. 16-10, they can ill afford to drop the points here today at the Parramatta Stadium, and they've got 25 minutes to get back into this ball game. 8 errors in the second half so far. That is just 16 minutes old. Eriksson, 10 metres short of halfway. Sharp as a dummy half, and that's Taylor. Charged down by Teven. 6 more to go, and that's Jackson. Going blindside, Laurie looking for Ford. That pass was forward, but Peter Ford takes it up to the halfway line. Parochial support here at the stadium. Very good crowd considering Parramatta's lowly place on the Winfield Cup table. That's another bad error this time by Parramatta, and the Broncos come up with a 10 metres short of halfway. Noak was dummy half, and that's Ricks.
Well, it was a mile offside there, affected the tackle. Grant now finally getting back to keep Parramatta onside, and got them. Correct decision. The crowd not happy with it.
And Paul Taylor wasn't either.
He was not happy at all.
Well, these days sides realise the importance. Langer will take the quick tap.
Clever play by Langer.
Well, I don't know whether it was. It hasn't come off for him, but there was a chance to find touch inside their own quarter.
Now Tessman. Close to the quarter line. That could have been a sign of desperation by the Broncos with Langer, although they were a little bit exposed on that far side. Now Billy Noak stays in the field of play. Walters, Langer, Laman turned his back on the defence. Miles, and well, that's another poor pass, putting pressure on Scott. Teven, pass to no one, picked up by Grant Ricks.
Was never knocked on. Correct decision.
Well, you can't please this crowd at Parramatta. Chris Johns. Now Ricks. Final tackle.
Good defence from Parramatta. They really had an urgency about their play.
Back it goes. Langer.
It's a nothing kick.
Ella took it with no pressure whatsoever. I think he might have changed his mind midstream. He was going to put the ball high and then try to chip the defence.
Well, it's really summed up the Broncos game. It's really been a match that hasn't been positive by any means. They've really been at 6s and 7s.
Taylor. Oh, and they're being exposed at will here by Parramatta. Chalmers. So can they come back? Peter Ford out for Jackson. He's had an outstanding game in attack. 4 tackles gone in the set of 6. Sharp. David, the control of the ball by Parramatta in the second half has been a telling factor.
Yeah, they've played well, Parramatta overall, and it hasn't been they've tried to tie up the game either. They've strung together some good passing movements.
There's Taylor skipping away from the defence and driving it downfield. Teven allowed it to bounce back towards into the own in goal. Now he runs it out and top hit. What a top hit from Peter Ford, and Craig Teven hasn't moved. Totally legal.
Hit very heavily was Teven. As I say, Fordo legal. Let's have a look at it. He actually packs up Teven as he comes to the tackle, goes to the right-hand side, and then realises he's going to get hit. Packs up, but driven into the ground there by Ford, and he's still getting attention now.
Kieran Walters finding Tessman. But gee, they're doing it tough, the Broncos. We've got about 21 minutes of play. The official attendance today, 13,190. So an excellent crowd on hand, as I mentioned, despite the fact that Parramatta in 1988 have not enjoyed great success, but their loyalty and support has still been here to the death in 88. Now Langer trying to exploit the blind with Lewis. Lewis, the kick downfield, and he finds touch.
What a superb kick from Lewis under pressure.
And
Langer,
no angle to work with, though.
That's right. Langer darted out a dummy half, gave it to Lewis. Lewis found himself in a position that he really had to put the boot to the ball. 5th tackle it was, 6-1 coming up, and he found touch nicely.
So now we wait for the scrum to go down. 30 metres out from the Parramatta line. In by Taylor to Ella. Delroy lurking around behind. Delroy through, got away from the next tackle of Laman. He's coming up to the halfway mark, chased out and knocked down, got the pass last back, but all went straight into the hands of Chris Johns. And the holes appearing once again.
Well, there's a lot of garden gate tackling out there.
John's about to play it. Away from dummy half is Grant Ricks. Couple of metres short of halfway. This is Walters to Hone. Hone straight ahead, just inside Parramatta territory. Walters to Langer. Langer stepping through. Here he goes. Where's the support? Lewis inside. Gets it back to Lewis. Lewis away then. Oh, it's going to be lost. Lost by Walters.
Well, he was going to put it down. He'd stepped nicely to beat the defence. Dropped the ball with the line wide open. Langer had made the break to Lewis. One of the few times the Broncos had had a chance. Look at Langer. Lewis back on the inside, screaming his head off. Langer, the perfect pass, hits Lewis. Lewis steps one, then to Walters. Walters was cutting back one way, trying to beat Chalmers and put the ball on the deck.
So now with it over there is Atkins. Way to Sharp as the dummy half. Coming up this time is Ford. 19 minutes remaining in the match, and Parramatta's lead is 16-10. That's Bugden with it. Lewis yelling plenty of advice out there on the final tackle as Taylor puts the boot underneath it. Coming around eventually, Colin Scott. Scott will run it out. Gets up to just inside the quarter before he's put down. Away from dummy half this time is Hancock. They seem a bit worn out there, these Broncos. There's not much zip about them, is there?
No, they've been belted by Parramatta in multiple tackles like that one. If you're going to run close to the ruck, you're going to get hit by a gang tackling Parramatta defence. They need a couple of wide passes.
Langer back to Miles. Rolls loose, picked up by Ella. Ella going to be put down by Hone right on the quarter line. So it's Parramatta back on the boil again. Taylor.
Crunch time.
Taylor put down 12 metres out. Eriksson from dummy half. He gets it away over there to Clinton. Clinton pulled down 4 or 5 metres out. Eriksson dummy half. The crowd roaring for the Eels. Back to Taylor. Taylor gets it away to Ella. Ella going to be bottled up. Laurie dummy half. Puts the head down. Reaches for the line. He's in. Parramatta go to a lead of 20-10.
Good work from Laurie. Worked hard out of the dummy half position. Poor defence Broncos. Really, they had the numbers there to affect the tackles. Parramatta applied plenty of pressure. They picked up the ball from a Broncos error a little bit earlier. They kept probing away. Out of dummy half, Tessman was the man to make the tackle along with Scott. Neither could affect it. And Mark Laurie dives across to put Parramatta in a pretty good position. They now lead by 20 points to 10 as we see Mark Laurie dive across.
Well, the boy from Warhope has certainly made his impact. He's played in 3 grand finals. That experience is showing through. He's only scored 1 try for the season. That's his second, and it couldn't have come at a more valuable time for Parramatta. And Billy, what a vital one it was as well.
Yeah, certainly is. That's put the boot right into things there. And we'll see Steve Ella lining up for the shot at goal. But a lead of 20 points to 10. The Broncos in a huddle over on the left of our picture there. There they are now. And Lewis has got plenty to say. But it'll take a big performance from here with just 16 minutes remaining. Down by 10 points, and that could well be 12 points after Steve Ella has this shot at goal. And it would be a match turnaround on the Broncos' part because they have not been in it in this second half.
Well, when you think, Bill, they did have a chance to score that try only a couple of minutes ago. Langer had made the great bust to Lewis, and Walters in position to back up. They decked the ball, and Parramatta have come back strongly, linked to the field stuff to put it down around about 12 metres in from touch.
Simple case today of Parramatta taking their opportunities and capitalising on them.
Here's Steve Ella for the shot at goal. It looks all right from here. It's there. So that opens it right up now with a lead of 22 points to 10. Back onto the halfway mark with a 12-point advantage at this stage with 15 minutes remaining. A little bit too much, I'd say, David.
Well, they'll need to improve dramatically. They've got the players out there to do it. Whether they've got the will and the form remains to be seen. Tessman makes a big one.
He goes right in on that occasion as he knocks over the winger Chalmers. Parramatta about 25 metres out from their own line. Away from dummy half is Sharp. Tessman in underneath. Miles over the top, trying desperately to reef that ball. Possession is what they want.
I don't know what Wally said, but certainly Andrew Tessman's got the message.
I think it's back to Sharp. Sharp getting it away to Laurie. Turns his back on Teban. Teevan's still in there trying to wrestle him down, which he does.
Tessman flying through again. It could well be that he's giving himself an own little suggestion that he's pretty dirty with himself for missing that tackle.
So now it's Sharp back to Ella. Ella with the boot underneath it. Colin Scott takes it. Scott starting to work across field. Chased over there by Ericsson and put down also Jackson coming into it. So Lewis from dummy half to Ricks. Ricks bowled over. It was Sharp underneath and over the top went Taylor. Walters, Langer, Lewis. Lewis getting it away to Billy Noak. A little bit touch and go that one.
Lewis wants it wide on the right.
Johns to dummy half. Lewis. Langer. Langer props. Now gets his pass to Hone. Sends it away to Teevan. Teevan outside then to Grand Ricks. Ricks up to a couple of metres short of the halfway mark. Put to the ground on the tackle over there of Chalmers. Back to Ricks again. They're about 4 metres inside Parramatta territory and the final tackle's on its way.
Should run it.
So this is Langer, Lewis, right over the top. It'll fly eventually to going to be dived on over there by Billy Noak. Well, it was plain to see Lewis's intentions there, try and get it out wide.
Yep, the idea was right. Execution not. Noak probably not realising it was the 5th tackle, just dived on it. Should have tried to keep it alive.
So now it's away from dummy half there. Delroy.
Ericsson that was, who was getting a bit of attention. He clashed with Ricks there a couple of moments ago, a head clash.
It's Setri with it. Ericsson leaving the field. There'll be a replacement coming on in just a moment. That's Sharp, back to Setri, Taylor, Ella. Ella getting it across to Jackson. Props, he goes back the other way. And eventually Hone puts him down. Replacement coming on, here's Terry.
Yes, number 29 is coming on for Parramatta with Michael Ericsson coming off, and I think Michael Ericsson has gone into the head bin.
Okay,
Hancock.
so now it's Hancock away, stepped out of the tackle, comes up to Delroy. Delroy will put him over. So now it's the Broncos letting it go. Miles getting it away to Lewis, outside then to Colin Scott. Scott can't get the pass away. Dummy half Walters to Lewis. Lewis back to Walters. Walters going to be wrestled to the ground. Not going far on that occasion, the Broncos. Langer shows it, now gets it to Hone. Hone straight up the centre. George Bartlett is a replacement player for Parramatta. Here's Miles. Miles still going, but Bartlett there to put him down. He's been prominent since he's been on.
2 very effective tackles. Now on the 5th.
Walters back to Lewis. Lewis with a little grubber kick, but diving on it over there is Sharp, and Parramatta in possession. Taylor. Parramatta's lead, 22 points to 10. Setri about to play it, just short of the quarter line. Delroy.
He's been dangerous today.
Bowled over, 30 metres out from their own line. Taylor back over there to Clinton. Been a good performance, Parramatta. So that's Bartlett taking it up again. Final tackle. Dummy half Sharp. Taylor, he steps around. He doesn't get away this time. He's been able to do it on a few occasions today. Step around and then get his kick in. But on that occasion, it was Walters able to grab a hold of him. So it's Brett LeMan to Langer. Langer stepping around, trying to find somewhere to go. Hancock in there. Well bottled up, the Broncos. Walters to Tessman. Tessman put down 25 metres out from the Parramatta line. Walters again. He'll get it to Lewis. Turns it back inside to Miles. Miles fighting desperately, but the defence is pretty strong, but he still keeps going. Just inside the quarter. The dummy half Walters to Lewis. Lewis back to Billy Noak. Noak gets it on then to Grant Ricks. Ricks put down 8 metres out. Walters from dummy half. Teevan to Hone. Hone storming through, but the Parramatta defence is up to the task. There's room out wide if they let it go, but Walters goes the other way where there's a ton of people around. Ball rolling loose is going to be picked up by Lewis.
Far too many errors from the Broncos. You're right, Bill. There were opportunities on that left-hand side. Plenty of traffic back here. Miles and Lewis were in the traffic, and they command a lot of football but certainly the options were on that left-hand side, and Wayne Bennett asked for more ball movement, some wider ball movement in the second half, and really he hasn't got it.
Well, Parramatta have won all 5 scrums in the second half. They lead by 22 points to 10, 10 minutes remaining. And the Broncos, in cold hard facts, have to score more than twice to win this ball game. Down it goes for Ella. Stepping run by the former Australian utility player. There goes Atkins. Teven stuck to him, and finally Hancock comes in as well. Jackson a dummy half.
Like Parramatta are playing, they'll score twice.
Well, it's been a lacklustre performance today by the Broncos.
In a match that was so important to them.
Taylor. Atkins. In fact, it's Laurie. Laurie taken in tackle number 5. Taylor. Kick by Delroy.
6 to go.
6 to go. Alan Langer deemed to have been in the act of charging the ball down. There goes Taylor. Oh, top hit from Tessman. Sharp. Can't run away from dummy half effectively.
Field goal would put it absolutely beyond doubt for Parramatta.
And that's what they're working for. They're trying to set it up the centre of the ground. Watch for Taylor or Ella. Clinton will try and get it about 8 or 10 metres closer to the goalposts. Well, Taylor now going back into position. It goes to Ella. Plenty of time, has the snap for goal. And that's there.
No, it was touched in flight. Therefore, put dead by the Broncos. It's no goal, even though it went between the uprights. It was last touched by a Bronco hand. Let's have a look at it. Ella had plenty of time, but took too much. In there was Brett Lemay. He did well to deflect the ball. There's the referee signalling above his head that the ball was touched in flight. And the Broncos still with some slight hope. 8 minutes to go. They want a miracle, but they've got a side that's capable of miracles, but it doesn't seem that they've been in that sort of form today.
Delroy. And Teven reeling away from that tackle. And Terry, a replacement in this Parramatta camp.
Number 9 for Peter Ford. The second rower has come off, and the reserve grade captain, number 19, Brett Scott, has taken his place.
So Brett Scott on the field. That's Bugden. Ford 19 tackles. He's played very solidly today for Parramatta. Laurie. And Parramatta trying to work it wide. Back for Taylor. Here's a chance now for the Broncos. But Lang has kicked it straight to the hands of Brian Jackson. Nothing has gone right for the Broncos in the second half.
They look like a knock-on by Parramatta for mine.
Ella ducked under the tackle of Noak, but Noak came back at him again. 7 minutes remaining in what is a boil-over. As far as the Broncos are concerned, a match so vital to their aspirations of cementing a spot in the top 5.
The only thing they can now hope for, Fordo, is I think they'll still be in equal 5th spot with 2 other teams.
There goes Setri, gave it to Hone, so the Broncos come back with it. Trailing by 12, though, 22 points to 10. Colin Scott trying to break the first line, can't do it effectively.
Those 2 other teams, well, of course, will be Canberra V1. They'll stay on 26, and of course the loser of Manly and Balmain.
Just a reminder that for TVO viewers in Brisbane, that Manly-Balmain match coming to you tonight at 10:30. What a crucial game that is. There's Walters, back for Teven. Gene Miles wrapped up well and truly. 2 tackles left in the set of 6s. Johns tries to exploit a gap close to the ruck. Final tackle. And the Broncos very flat on attack. Blindside is Lewis. Got the pass for Ricks in open space. Ricks has got support of Noak, but the Parramatta defence is there once again.
Offloaded, here it is.
The chance. Oh, Walters has dropped it again.
Well, Kerrod Walters, he'll have nightmares about this game. He's seen the line twice, the try line. He's been unable to hold it both times. All he had to do was control the ball, and his momentum, I'm sure, would have taken him over. Rick's got the ball. There's Walters. There was plenty of defence coming, but he had to take a couple of paces and carry them across. Not to be. Chances for the Broncos now well and truly dwindled away with less than 5 minutes to go in the match. They trail by 22 points to 10.
So the Parramatta Eels, in front of their very loyal band of supporters today, are on the road to causing a very, very big upset. There's the kick downfield, taken by Michael Hancock. Runs to the centre of the halfway line, beat 1. Running out of space, closed up by Scott, and he's lost it. Well, again, turning possession over on the first tackle.
Well, the Broncos had a shocker against South Sydney about 6 weeks ago, and this one probably not quite as bad, but the result will be the same. 2 points have slipped away.
It's been an undisciplined display today, and something that wouldn't be pleasing Coach Wayne Bennett.
Not at this stage of the season. And, of course, Parramatta are still smarting over that defeat they had at Lang Park in the first round when they went down by 24 points to 18 after establishing quite a good lead, and they've got their revenge today.
So time ticking away for Coach Wayne Bennett and the Broncos here today on their trip down south. Atkins.
Oh, Chalmers clashed heavily. He's okay.
Jackson with the play the ball. Back for Ella on the halfway line. Back for Delroy. His kick is downfield, but straight down the throat of Colin Scott, who took it about 5 metres out from his own goal line. Came to Scott on the quarter line. Clinton comes in to take him ball and all. So the story of the day, it was 10-all at half-time. Parramatta raced in 3 tries to 2. And Steve Ella, with 5 goals from 6 attempts, has helped really open up that lead of 22 points to 10. Wally Lewis has had just the 2 attempts, a 50% strike rate, 1 from 2. So the chance go up for Parramatta. Well, what a match it'll be. The match against Newcastle, another team placed low on the Winfield Cup. It takes on immense proportions. They played so well against Manly last week, and it's going to be a very tough assignment for the Broncos, and we'll be bringing you that match on Saturday night at 8:30 on TVO. But what a match that now will be, Dave, after their performance today.
Yeah, poor performance has been today by the Broncos. We see Teban there trying to offload the ball. It went forward. Parramatta have picked it up. The Broncos, I think, at best now can hope for a playoff for 5th spot. With 2 matches to go, they'll need to win both of those. One against Newcastle, and that'll be the last match they play at Lang Park, so they'll need plenty of support out there on Saturday afternoon. And then, of course, the very last match, the one against Balmain, could well decide whether they can force a playoff for 5th spot.
Just a reminder for our rugby league viewers, on August 32, a live telecast of the Dally M Awards from Sydney. And what a night that will be. One of the feature nights on the calendar of the rugby league season, along with the Rothmans medal. But Dally M's coming live on TVO August 30 at 9:30 p.m. Back it goes for Laurie, but the time really ticking away for the Broncos now. Only a couple of minutes or maybe less remaining in a game that slipped away. And I just wonder how important that's going to be in the ultimate outcome in the race to the top 5. Penalty. Parramatta caught inside the 5.
There hasn't been many penalties for the Broncos today. They haven't got too many. Parramatta have certainly got more. And we'll just check what the penalty count is at this stage. Parramatta have ended up with 7 to the Broncos 5.
Well, there's the clash of the number 11s, Tessman and Clinton. Kerrod Walters to dummy half. That's Billy Noak. Now for Langer, looking for his captain Lewis. Cut out Miles and gave it to Johns. And Johns had seen very little of the ball today. Lewis is the man at dummy half. Long pass across field for Langer. Langer through the dummy. Oh, he's through the gap, Langer. Support, floating pass. Hancock. Hancock's in for his 8th try of the year, but it's come all too late for the Broncos. But the score is 22 points to 16,
well,
to 14.
Alan Langer has done that a number of times today. He hasn't had the support to go on with it. This time he even had to fire the long pass out to find the correct runner. Look at Alan Langer. The ball was moved out wide initially on this right-hand side. That had stretched Parramatta. Langer threw a thin defence, the long pass out, fires it over the top. On the spot was Michael Hancock. He gets around the outside of Brett Atkins, puts it down a little bit closer to the post. Lewis will get a chance to convert. Let's have a look at it. The long pass from Lewis. Look at that. Covers about 20 metres. A little dummy from Langer. Sheds the tackle of Bartlett and then runs away from Taylor over the top to Hancock. And he gets around the outside of Atkins. Brings it a little bit closer. But the Broncos are left it far too late. It's been a long time since they scored their last try, which was in the 30th minute of the first half. The disappointment on Wally Lewis's face. 2 points have slipped away.
Well, Wally Lewis missed that goal. It's 22-14. And I can tell you, goal kicking, final score, 22 points to 14 victory to the Parramatta Eels.